Alright, so when I ask the question, is Lost Ark too complicated? I'm gonna guess that the majority of people who hear this kind of question is gonna start thinking about raid encounters, boss fights, but I'm actually gonna be talking about systems and system mechanics, the ones that revolve around your sources of power. As a quick refresher, we have item level, set level, accessories / engravings, bracelets, quality, cards, runes, skill points, gems, tripods, and then eventually we're going to get elixirs and that board from the next raid in KR. And you have to remember, every single one of these has a either time gate or an RG element to it, with basically gems and engravings being the only two that you can really just buy straight up. Now, as a veteran player, and I think other veteran players are people who played for a long time, they really don't think about these kind of issues that much. We've learned things on the go. We've gotten used to things as they released, and because of the rate of progression of the game launching and going through the content, it wasn't that much of a problem for us. Everybody was getting their purple runes at the same time. Everybody was roughly upgrading to legendary runes at around the same time. The same thing goes with gems, cards, bracelets, really everything. We all were able to go with this at the same rate. We're all progressing together. But for a new player, all these mechanics, all these systems, they're going to be overwhelming. Their rate of progression is not like ours. They have power passes, they have all these boosts, they have all these events, they have all the honing nerfs. But even more importantly, the players that are still here, the players that have been here, they all expect all these things to be juiced up. They expect them to be done. They expect people to have this stuff set up. This, of course, leads to what everybody knows. This leads to gatekeeping. Gatekeeping is a community fix for a bigger problem. Because when you inspect somebody, you can see most of these systems. You can see the accessories, you see their engravings, you see their bracelets, you see the quality, you see the cards. You don't see their runes, you don't see their skill points, but you see their gems. So most of that is something that people can see and judge you by, not including roster level and titles. Now, while I do not think that you can just stop anybody from gatekeeping at all times, there's no universal fix that will ever stop that, I do think Lost Ark takes it to a bit of an extreme. There will always be the type of players who look at things as super efficiency. They want to be efficient, they want to go fast. But because of how much time it takes you to do homework, how much time it takes you to do raiding, along with the general encounters being very punishing and unforgiving for one person messing up or one person being dead, things that lead to an entire party wipe, or things where you just don't have enough damage to hit range timer. And as a reminder, LOS 30 is an additional 15% damage. That is huge on cards, and that is something that is time gated with probably about a year's worth of time and effort to actively do Card Island every day and do everything else to get cards. And we're getting to a point in the game where that is something in Party Finder where people say you need LOS 30 for this party. You know, people don't want to spend 20 minutes on a gate just to hit a range timer every time on 6 characters a week. It's turned to like it's not personal, it's business. And that's why I really can't hold too many grudges against people who gatekeep. People got to get their checklist done. They got to get everything done for the week, and they can't help it that the game really forces people to do this because the things are so tight and the sources of powers are so huge. Now, obviously, you can do this content with less people. You can do it with people dead, but that generally means people are over-geared, over-honed, because we're talking about the busing scenario, basically, which is what these people are forced to do because they can't get into a legitimate party and progress on their own. They have to get carried for a while, get the items, get the content done before they can actually legitimately experience it, which again is a big problem, which is another thing I consider a symptom of the actual disease, which is the overall design of progression in the game. So as a quick comparison, let's talk about 2 other MMOs in the same space and their sources of power. Starting off with WoW Classic. Your major sources of power in that is really just the gear you're wearing and the enchants you put on them. And that's really it for WoW Classic. Yes, you could say, well, there's the world buff system and all that kind of stuff here, but I left food out of Lost Ark for a reason because it's not something that's a huge grindable thing or anything you have to really work towards. Though to be fair, I think a lot of hardcores in original Classic, Vanilla Classic do see world buffs as a mandatory thing, so I guess that's an arguable point. And then moving on to retail, it's just that plus gems. 2 additional things. One, and by enchants I mean pretty much anything you slap on it, so things from professions that you put into it, but not gems. But additionally, well, I skipped Caddis. I don't actually know if there's a bar power system in that game, but Mop and Beyond up to Dragonflight, every expansion had a bar power system. Kind of like how Lost Ark added a new system in, they added one in, but unlike Lost Ark, they removed it, which is a controversial thing that happened because people hated it, but they loved the power when they had it. But yeah, that's basically the power systems in World of Warcraft. And then the other example I'm going to use is Final Fantasy XIV. Now, I personally quit that game back in the day when Ninja was new, so I had to ask a friend who was still playing, and I guess the only power systems in that game is really the gear and the material you slap into it. And then even the game I played before this, which would be Phantasy Star Online 2, there was only like 3 or 4 different sources of power. Granted, the original fixed system was one of the most complicated things and just overwhelming things I've done in any MMO. Like seriously, this is too much. But the point I'm trying to make is these other games don't have nearly as many systems as Lost Ark does. For the future of this game, I think we do need some reworks on a lot of them, and maybe even just removal of some. I know people like Zeal say remove card sets, but I think cards do keep Adventure Islands alive, and I think that is a good thing. But I guess in the end, people would just go to Gold Island instead, so I guess that's not that bad. But additionally, I think there should just be more breakpoints in card sets. So instead of the LOS, for example, why is there only a 7-8%? Maybe have it be more gradual. Let there be like a 2, 2, 2, 3, whatever, as you get every few awakening. So it's not that much of a blow for people who are trying to work their stuff up. But also, I think 15 of the same card is way too much. But again, it won't solve gatekeeping. The progression is just too much. There's too many systems and there's too many sources of power, which causes so many problems for new players, which causes so many gatekeeping. So yes, if you ask me, I think the Lost Ark systems are way too complicated because there's too many of them. A lot of them are RNG gated, and I just don't think we need all of them anymore. And if we do decide to keep them because they keep content alive, they keep people moving, they keep people playing, they should be simplified, they should be easier to do. Them adding tripods to Leisure Raid vendors and the Leisure Raid himself is really good. It's really huge for newer players to actually start getting some tripod progress, while also helping veteran players who are making new characters. Because at the end of the day, if you let a new player get a free 1540 character, you're still going to get gate kept on Even Clown because they're lacking all these other time gated and RNG gated sources of power, along with how punishing raids can be for a single person messing up, again like Clown if they don't do their Mario. Now I think I want to make another video eventually talking about how valuable new players are, but I already covered their major problem in this video, so we'll see. But I definitely would love to talk about tier 4 resets and the value those things bring. But what do you think? Do you think we have too many systems? Do we have too little? I hope you don't think that, please. But let me know which ones you love or hate.